Hi, I'm Zoe East and I'm a freelance filmmaker based in Leeds. This is what it's like for me being freelance. I'm quite happy to do anything if it's with nice people. Filming and hanging out with nice people, that's like a great day. Talking to people and telling people what you're doing, anybody and everybody who will listen. Tell them about what you're doing. Things come from the most unlikely of places. So I think people will always say, like, oh, I know somebody who does this. It gives you the ability to do what you want to do and what you really love doing and have the freedom to live the life in the way that you want to. Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. I think it's amazing.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to another one. Yes, so looking forward to hearing Zoe's story, especially because my full-time freelancing experience kind of runs in tandem with Zoe's. Right at the beginning of our full-time freelancing, we both entered the same awards. I was in the old gits category and she was in the new inspire type category. After the award ceremony, Zoe and I ended up chatting. Anyway, about a year later, I get invited to work on a project and I need a videographer. And I think Zoe would be amazing for this. So I pitch myself and Zoe as a team to do this work. And they went for it. So we ended up working together remotely, as in she would go off by herself and film for this company. And then she would literally post me a hard drive with footage on it that I would then edit. And we did that for quite a few years. This work that we did together won awards. Another time we actually went to an awards do together. They didn't win that award. They won other ones. Everybody else from the company left because they hadn't won and they needed to be up for work the next day. But as freelancers, Zoe and I didn't. So we ended up dancing all night to the band in this fancy London hotel. Funny. God, this was years ago. Anyway, it's been amazing watching her work appear on my social media streams ever since. So yes, we are off to Leeds to chat to freelance filmmaker Zoe East. Hey, Zoe.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
Very good. Can't wait to hear your story. How about we get started hearing how you got started being freelance?
Well, I've never had a proper job. Proper in inverted commas. I went freelance straight out of uni. And kind of never looked back, which is over 10 years ago now.
So there wasn't even a point where you thought about getting a job?
So I did do a work experience placement at a big TV channel, which I was really super excited about, but in reality found it very, very, very old-fashioned and quite sexist. So it sort of jaded me from the traditional industry a little bit. And I just thought I'd carve my own path instead and do it my own way.
Crikey. So how did you go about getting your first client? So what, you're 21 if you were at uni?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I must have been. Before uni, I was very interested in photography and kind of grew up in the middle of nowhere where everybody worked for themselves. So I think there's a lot of influence from where I grew up as well. And yeah, I was doing all kinds of different photo shoots, roping my friends into all kinds of fun things, doing photography and a bit of graphic design for local businesses, local farmers and stuff like that. During uni, took any opportunity that I could. If there was, sometimes somebody would email the uni and be like, I need some photos taking of this thing. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go and do that. So I think I had already had experience of doing stuff for people. And a course as well that I did was really geared you up for working for real people in the real world. So yeah, just from there, it kind of gradually snowballed. Initially, I was doing a lot of photography, even though I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. It was easier to get the work in that initially. So I was like, great, it means doing some work and some money and doing what I want to do. So I'll do that. And quite quickly, I was able to kind of drop the photography and move over to video and just slowly snowboard, basically.
Now, you have a company name, Opal Video.
Yeah.
Did you have that from the start?
Yeah, I did actually, because before, back in the pre-uni days, I had a Facebook page. I was actually looking back at this the other day, called Opal Desires, and it's where I would put all the photography that I was doing of all the fun photo shoots and stuff. Opal Video just kind of morphed from that, basically.
Ah, okay. And what kind of work was this? Was it anything that would come your way?
Initially, yeah, it was kind of a whole mix of stuff. So I remember I went to a tax seminar thing. Very riveting. But important.
It's a good night out, yeah?
Yeah, it's important. And I met a chartered surveyor, so a guy that values houses and sells houses, and also like a artificial grass company at this same event, and then ended up doing some photography and some video work for both of them. So it was just networking basically from the very beginning. Yeah.
And then what, word of mouth from there?
Yeah. So I did at that time as well. I was doing a lot of video work for events in Leeds. So like food festival events or things like that. And then being at those events was also a good opportunity to meet other people, and people see you with a camera and then are like, oh, I want a video of this thing, or I want some photos of this thing, which worked really well. And I also got a 6-month studio space at the co-working space that I then went on to be at for like 10 years. So that was like my university did an alumni place, so you could apply, and I won the studio space and mentoring for 6 months. So I was like plonked in this amazing co-working space that was purely for creative. So it was full of graphic designers and photographers and people doing creative stuff in the city. So that was like a really, really good starting point for meeting people, and also the timing of just doing video at that time. You know, like now we see video everywhere, but it hasn't been like that for that long, really. And kind of 10 years ago was when that was taking off. So it's also an element of being in the right place at the right time.
Wow. So you got 6 months for free at that co-work space?
Yeah. Yeah. In an actual studio as well. Like, so good for meeting people and getting advice from people. And like the creative community, I'm sure it's like this everywhere, but it was so friendly and supportive. Like, people want you to do well and want to work with you, and want to see you making great stuff.
I mean, it must have been good because you stayed there for 10 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What was that like? So like a lockable kind of office type space when you call it a studio?
It actually wasn't lockable. So the whole thing was open. So it didn't have a door. It had walls, but no roof and no doors.
Okay.
If that makes sense. It originally was a belt factory, so a big long building, and then inside they split it up into different little offices or studios, which all had windows between and didn't have doors, so that it was like built for collaboration basically.
Nice. And so did lots of work come, it sounds like work or maybe learning from others came from that experience?
Yeah, both in equal measure, I'd say. Yeah.
We're just getting started with Zoe's story. Plenty more to come. Just want to let you know that this episode is supported by Ecamm. It's like a video studio for your Mac, so that you can do everything that you do involving video from your computer in a way that reflects your brand. It looks totally professional, because it is. I'll tell you more about it later. But go to beingfreelance.com/Ecamm, see what it could do for you. Thanks, Ecamm, for supporting this episode. Right, let's get back to this story, shall we? So would you say today, in 2026, that you have a niche?
Yeah, I would say currently that's working with charities and working on heritage and culture-based projects. So kind of from that starting point 11 years ago, when it was like kind of do anything that crosses your path to get experience and get money, which I think is I would do that again if I started again. I think that's a great way to start, and a great way to like learn what you do like and what you don't like and what you do want to do. And then slowly kind of like I didn't want to do the event stuff anymore, so I was trying to not really do events. And for me, the main thread through my work is doing projects that are meaningful, like things that matter now and that also are going to matter in 10 years' time when somebody might watch that video again in the future. So over the past, I'd say like the past 5 years has been more charity focused. I work with a lot of different charities, also kind of museums, art galleries, that kind of thing for the heritage and culture side.
Like, I think in some people's heads, they think, oh, it's a charity, so I can't charge that much, for example. What's your experience of that been?
So it's something that people ask me a lot, actually. And I think my experience has always been that like charity budgets have been okay. For example, I work a lot with the drug and alcohol charity, and they're doing amazing work and they're always getting lots of funding to continue to do that work. And sometimes they might get funding for something specific, marketing related. So they might come to me and say, right, we've got this money and we need to make a film about this. So I think it's that they have money for specific things.
Right, yeah. So you and I first met, was it 2015?
I have the award over there, 2016.
2016. Subtly, you won the award.
Well, I was runner-up.
Oh, were you? Okay. Okay. So, so 2016. So you've been freelancing maybe a year?
Yeah, I must have. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was that the last award you ever entered, or have awards played a role?
So earlier this year, I think maybe like the 4th of January, with some friends, we did a vision boarding session. And we made a vision board for the year. And on my vision board, there's like a red curtain and then this hand that peeks out and it's holding an award. It's like, I want to win an award. And then in April, we won an award.
No way. Yeah. This wasn't even a set. This sounds like a setup. Yeah. What was the award?
So it was with the drug and alcohol charity that I work for. The award was the Esther Ranson Campaigning for Change Award.
Now, hang on. Before I go back to the vision board, though, have you entered other awards?
Not many, no. But I have entered film festivals, and one of my films did get into its first film festival a couple of years ago, which was also really exciting.
Cool. What does that mean? Does that mean it gets shown in a particular place at a certain time, or shown in lots of places, or? So
it got into Kendal Mountain Festival and the London Mountain Film Festival. And at Kendal Mountain Festival, they had 2 screenings, and both of the screenings sold out, which is really cool. And we did Q&A after both of them. And then with the London Film Festival, they go onto an online platform, and people can apply to do their own mini community film festival and use those films. And so a guy actually in a small suburb of Leeds was setting up a mini adventure film festival with his son, because his son he's still in school and he wants to go to Borneo and do an adventure there, so he's fundraising for it. So he set up this mini film festival and he selected my film to go into it, and he had no idea I was based in Leeds. It was only when he put it on social media and he found me and he's like, "Oh, you're based in Leeds, will you come and do a Q&A?" So we went there as well, which was really cool.
That's so cool. But so this is adventure films, so this is something else you do?
Yeah, this is all a kind of another little strand, adventure filmmaking. So I've made a few films now about running adventures, and that film that got into the festivals was about a running adventure across Tajikistan. So what did that involve for you? You weren't running. No. I got to be in one of the support vehicles, which was very nice, great fun. In fact, being in the support vehicle, the route goes literally all the way across Tajikistan. So it starts at the border with Afghanistan and goes up to the border with China and Kyrgyzstan, top east right corner. And it's roughly 7 marathons in 7 days. So on that one, there was 14 runners, and they, basically set off running. Forrest Gump style, just kept on running.
Okay, how do you end up doing that?
That was actually a funny one. So the same kind of company doing a run across Iceland, and I filmed that back in 2021. And I filmed that because one of my good friends happened to be running it, physically running. She was helping the organisers with some stuff, and they asked her if she knew anyone who did video, and she said yes, and it was me.
Oh my God.
That was as easy as that on that one.
And so then they bring you back for another adventure.
Yeah.
Are you also sharing that kind of stuff behind the scenes? What's your online presence like? Because stuff like that sounds like it's screaming to be on social media.
Yeah, I probably should do a little bit better at that. I have loads of photos, and I actually went back to Tajikistan recently in May. Yeah, I posted some stuff about that. I've kind of shifted my focus just to LinkedIn now. I used to do Instagram as well, but I found that actually I don't get work from Instagram. I don't know if I've ever got any work directly from Instagram, not that I'm aware of. But LinkedIn is definitely, I think, for me, where it's at, and that's where my clients are, and that's where work comes from. So I've shifted to focusing only on LinkedIn. But yeah, I've got a bit lazy with it recently. Or I find it hard. I don't enjoy that side of it. So I do have to work quite hard and get back into the habit of it.
Let's go back to vision boards. Let's start there. Are you somebody who sets goals?
Well, I'd say generally I'm not much of a forward planner. I don't look too far into the future. And I certainly didn't when I started. But now I've found that, setting goals kind of on a like a yearly and a quarterly basis, I find really, really helpful. And a friend, another freelancer, and we try and meet up once a month and do like a goals session. And so we'll like start with our yearly goals, which I guess are like the big ones that kind of like drive the direction of the year, and then like break that down into monthly or quarterly or however often we manage to actually kind of sit down and look at them. And yeah, I found that really, really useful. Once I started doing it, I was like, oh, it's kind of a game changer, because it allows you to have a focus and to keep a focus and not just kind of feel like you're floating through, which I think I've done a lot in the past, and I'm quite comfortable with floating through. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but I found that, yeah, having goals really helps to get things done, basically.
And that co-mentorish relationship holds you accountable as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think the accountability is, a really big part of it.
So what does that look like when you get together, like once a month, did you say?
Yeah. We used to be in the same co-working space, so it was easier then. But yeah, we're trying. We have this set. This is what it looks like physically. We have an actual like planner, which has the goals in.
Just set aside for that. This is a luxuriously looking notebook.
No, that's like, that has like day to day in it as well. People find it crazy that I still do it like on pen and paper.
Well, all of your calendar is pen and paper?
No, I have Google Calendar as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll try and do, it's definitely at the start of the year, try and do a big kind of goal planning session, like look at the past year, what went well, what didn't get achieved, did something not get achieved because like you don't want to do it anymore, or it's just worth dropping completely. Like I think sometimes you can get stuck thinking, oh, that was my goal and I have to stick to it, but actually things change all the time. So a goal that you had even a month ago might not be relevant anymore. So you can waste energy kind of being stuck on that, whereas actually sometimes it's good to just let it go.
I'm just wondering how big these goals are.
So the yearly ones are bigger, because the idea is there for the entire year. So for me, that might be, I was like looking to kind of work with some more specific charities, or charities doing sort of specific type of work. So that's kind of like something that's, like a bit of a longer running, slow burning type of thing to work on that throughout the year. Whereas then like the monthly goals are like, those are things that you think are achievable in that month, or to like, give you a focus in the next 4 weeks.
When you have those sort of dream client thoughts, are you doing cold outreach? Are you sidling up on LinkedIn and doing some warming up? What are you doing?
So I've never really had any luck with cold outreach. Most of my work comes through word of mouth, which I'm very grateful for and fortunate with. But yeah, when I've tried to reach out to people, I don't think it's ever worked. So if anybody, has a secret recipe for how that does work, that'd be great. So I've always found that you attract the work that you do, or the work that people see you do. So again, like coming back to sharing on social media, I'll only share the things that I want to get more of, which used to be, so like previously I would do more of the kind of bread and butter work, which I didn't find as rewarding, but I was quite happy to do. Like I'm quite happy to do anything if it's with nice people, like filming and hanging out with nice people. Great. That's like a great day. But yeah, trying to work with more charities or people who are working on a specific cause or something that I'm really interested in with and aligns with my values, I'll try and share more of that kind of thing that I am doing. And I do find as well with the kind of charity sector work is that lots of charities work together, and so this is where word of mouth is great. It's like I'll do work with one charity and then I'll get an email from a different charity. It's like, oh, we know that you've done this video for these guys. We work with them a lot. We really love that video. We want to do this, which also works quite well.
How have you found the business side of it all?
When I was kind of setting everything up, I did really enjoy that. Now everything's been running for, like just over 10 years. I don't think there's not quite as much of that stuff to do, or maybe I've just got used to it. But yeah, I don't mind. I'm like quite happy to like do a mileage log, for example, but I know some other freelancers who like hate doing that and find it really tedious. But and yeah, I use FreeAgent for like my online accountancy stuff. I think I've like put systems in place that make it relatively easy and therefore enjoyable.
Yeah. You must have, like, as a filmmaker, a lot of overheads in like terms of equipment or insurance, maybe things like that.
Yeah. My insurance is crazy with that because all my equipment got stolen a couple of years ago.
Oh my God, yes.
That was probably the biggest low point that we've had. But yeah, all the equipment. I've always been. Well, I'm a big advocate of buying secondhand stuff. The camera I have now is actually the only camera I've ever bought new, which was kind of exciting and a bit strange at the same time when I bought that. When I did buy that, in fact, it was like just after COVID, so I was able to get a grant, which paid for half, which was amazing. So like, yeah, finding things like that is super useful, especially when your equipment is so expensive. But also, I mean, you might find this as well, like storing footage is crazy because it's like terabytes and terabytes and terabytes. You kind of have to keep hold of it for quite a while as well. Or like, I'm a bit of a hoarder with footage. I don't like to delete it. So yeah, all the hard drives and the computers, and like the computer that needs to be good enough to keep up with the big footage that comes from like the expensive camera. It's kind of like all knock on. But yeah, I'm also not like a person who needs the newest of everything, so I don't tend to upgrade my kit that often, like only when I need to, really. And I like to be quite minimal, so I don't like to have loads and loads and loads of stuff.
Oh my God, it's so true about storage of video stuff. But what I did find was it last year? I decided, right, this is getting ridiculous. I'm going to have to start deleting some of this off my Dropbox and things. And I used that as an opportunity to get back in touch with all of these clients, reminding them that I existed, reminding them of this project that we worked on, and saying, are you fine with me deleting this stuff? And like some of it was literally 10, 12 years ago. And of course, they're all saying, oh, great to hear from you, blah, blah, blah. And off of that, like, massive cull, I got a couple of projects come in as well. So it's a weird way to...
That's so cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah. It's sort of like clearing out your attic and saying, does anybody want this stuff?
Yeah.
And in doing so, the relatives remember that you exist.
Yeah. Somebody said to me once, like, getting new clients is the hardest thing, but using your existing clients is easier than that. So I think that like goes back to that. And I think it works both ways. You know that those people are good to work with, so you're happy to work with them again. And they know that you're great to work with, so they want to work with you again.
How have you found sort of pricing your work?
I think pricing is like, it's a touchy subject, right? Isn't it? Like some people find it really difficult. I think it's something that you get used to, and you also need to get used to putting your prices up. I think definitely annually, at least. I made a spreadsheet a long time ago, which has kind of all the rates. So like filming, editing, music, like, you know, travel, literally anything that can go into a project, and then kind of the rates for that by the side. So I just put in the number of days of those things, and it kind of adds the total up for me at the bottom, which makes it really easy and also really consistent, which I think is important. And that's always been really useful. I actually have a blank version of that I made when I did a talk at uni last year, which I can share as well if anybody is would be interested in that. Because I think it's really good for like taking the stress out of being like, oh, how much should I charge for this? Because you have all your rates there, so you can just, it just does it for you. You don't have to, it like eliminates that stress basically, I find.
And that works for you because on your kind of projects, you will have a certain amount of hours or days assigned to filming, to pre-planning, to editing.
Yeah. I'll mostly do it based on days. So days of filming, days of editing, and
Part of what I was wondering is like, when you're so busy filming, as most of the time as a company of one, how you juggle perhaps stuff that is leads that are coming in, but you're busy doing the do, like how you manage that kind of process.
Yeah, that is a tricky one. because also I try not to like look at emails all the time and like respond to them all the time, because I think that can distract you from doing the work. So I don't really have like a proper kind of managed way of doing that. I think it's just remembering basically and starring email. I just star emails. That's about
that's the system.
That's the system, really.
No, but I do like the idea as well of not permanently looking at your emails. See, I fall into a trap often of having it open. And yet when let's say I have a podcast to edit, if I close everything down, I chuck my phone over the other side of the room, it's amazing how much more work I get done.
Right? But it's so hard to do that.
Yeah. Back with Zoe's story in a moment. Still plenty to come. This episode is supported by Ecamm. Thank you very much to them. It's a video studio for your Mac. So if you have a Mac, there's no excuse not to be looking your best when you do anything involving video from your computer. Go to beingfreelance.com/ecamm and download the free trial and take it for a spin yourself. It even links up with your webcam so that you can have what they call a virtual webcam going into other platforms. So imagine you're on a Google Meet or Zoom or Teams call, right? You can be on brand in that call. And if you have to do screen sharing on that, let's say it's with a client, you're doing some kind of pitch, for example, or you're on a webinar and you're having to share a presentation, if you're creating courses or live streaming to multiple destinations at once, be it like LinkedIn. We did a LinkedIn live with Katie actually from Ecamm, all about using video for your freelancing business this week, which was great. That went live to LinkedIn. The best way to see what it could do for your business is to try it for yourself. So if you have a Mac, go to the website beingfreelance.com/ecamm, where you can download it, start trying it for free. But also if you end up using the paid plan, make sure you use the discount code which is on that link. So it's beingfreelance.com/ecamm. Right now, speaking of people doing excellent things with video, let's get back to Zoe's story. So you were in your office for 10 years, pretty much all the time you were freelancing, but you've changed office now. And I saw when you were speaking about, things you post on LinkedIn, that actually you have made a big shift, not just like moving offices, right?
Yeah, I'm in a shiny new office. This is the She Who Dares Wins office. So I'm now sharing with Michelle. We met actually back in the co-working space pre-lockdown. She moved into the office next to me and she put a desk in there, and that was it, basically. Then lockdown happened. So yeah, she was basically never in. And then she was pregnant and she had a baby, so she had to leave the office anyway. But so we met there, and at the time she was working in construction. But then she set up this brand called She Who Dares Wins, which is predominantly a podcast where she interviews women who are doing amazing, daring things. Since then, she's kind of been building the podcast, which has done amazingly well. And yeah, she's been asking me to move into the studio with her for about 2 years now. So she finally cracked me. And over the past few years, we've made a couple of films about some of the women who she has interviewed on the podcast. And now basically, we want to take that forward and start making documentaries about some of these incredible women.
So what's the deal there? Are you running a company together, or are you content creators together? So it's kind of early days now, so I'm still doing all the stuff that I was doing. It will be a joint venture, basically. We'll be making the films together, trying to maximize YouTube. Like, YouTube's having a big resurgence right now. I mean, like, it never went away, but I think it's definitely big right now, particularly with short films and documentaries, because the traditional commissioning route is quite dry. There isn't a lot of funding available, but what there is a lot of is like brand partnerships, and basically brands want to know that you have an audience existing. We have the beginnings of that already via the podcast and the podcast audience, so we're kind of like going to transfer that to YouTube. And we've been putting ourselves in front of the camera a little bit, like behind the scenes videos. So we have a film that's coming out on the 1st of July. So we're exploring kind of documentary series on YouTube and also branded storytelling. And we'll see if we can get some funding. Exciting. So, and that's running alongside Opal Video.
Yeah.
How have you two gone about that relationship and that sort of partnership?
I think it's kind of like proven in that we've done a couple of short films before over the years. So I think we kind of like know how we work together, and we're both really inspired by and interested in making films about women and giving them a voice, and doing that with predominantly female teams and female crews as well.
After so long, like working by yourself, is that feeling different?
Yeah, it's definitely like a shift. It was a shift moving in here as well, because this is an office with a closed door, and it's like that in the whole mill. So it's much less, you see less people day to day. So that was a kind of shift in terms of daily working. It was way more quiet, but to counter that, like we can do things like play music out loud here, which you could never do in the co-working space. Yeah, in terms of working with somebody else, I think like I still love doing the kind of like topical, meaningful charity and heritage and culture related work. But also I think there's an opportunity here for us to make longer form documentaries, which is something that I also love doing and goes really well with the kind of shorter turnaround, more maybe campaign-led stuff. I think the combination together works really well. Being able to do the more documentary stuff on my own would be pretty big and really time consuming and really difficult and take a lot longer. So I think we have like Michelle's existing, she has like over 150 women that she's interviewed on her podcast. So we have like this incredible database of women that we already have a relationship with to go and potentially film with. And Michelle's awesome interviewing, and then me on the filmmaking side. So it feels like a really good combo. So yeah.
Nice. Do you feel like that feeds back into your other work?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've always been a fan of like doing a variety of work. It all like feeds into each other and raises the level of everything. I think if you just do the same, I find if I just do the same kind of thing, I'm kind of less inspired and find it more difficult to make it different or make it engaging for me personally. Whereas, yeah, doing some stuff that might take a year or even longer, and then some stuff that's like, okay, we need to film tomorrow and we need the videos by next week sort of thing. Like that balance. I find when I'm busier, I'm more motivated. So like doing lots of things is more motivating for me and more exciting. And I think I've always found this just talking to people and telling people what you're doing, or literally anybody and everybody who will listen, like tell them about what you're doing. Things come from the most unlikely of places. So I think people will always say like, oh, I know somebody who does this, or I heard about this thing that's happening that's relevant to that. Always like getting little bits from lots of different places really boosts it.
Love it. When you mentioned about getting the grant when you were buying some new equipment, how do you know about that kind of stuff?
In Leeds, that was with the Adventure programme, which is like what is it? How do you describe it? It's kind of like a business support program. It's probably where I found that tax seminar from, for example. You know, they do different workshops and different things that are useful when you're setting up a business, but you also get assigned like a mentor. And it was him who was telling me about funding opportunities. And I have found that those kind of communities were really helpful, definitely, in those early days.
I bet those sort of things are all around us. I mean, this is why I think it helps being in a co-work space with, you know, for example, lots of creative businesses, is that maybe word spreads, or maybe the people offering the grants come looking for it. So I remember when I was in a council-run co-work space, that was the only time I've got any form of grant, because the council were like, we've kind of got this money kicking around. Oh, anybody know anybody who might need it? And obviously it wasn't just the co-work space who benefited, it went to lots of people. But I always think if I'd have just been stuck at home like I am now, I would never have heard of that opportunity. So yeah, it does pay. Yeah. What would you say you found the most challenging thing about being freelance?
I find this one a hard question, you know. I think that I think some people perceive freelancing as like this really big and scary thing. I don't think that's the case. It kind of makes me a bit sad when people think like that. But I know that everybody doesn't have a great experience. I understand that. I think one of the things I find the most challenging is that perception when some people, people who maybe work in completely different industries think like that we're not making any money or we're not making a living, and it's just kind of a bit of a hobby to do something creative. Whereas actually it's so much more than that, and it gives you the ability to do what you want to do and what you really love doing and make a living from that, and also then have the freedom that you want to live the life in the way that you want to. Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. I think it's amazing. I get quite worried if I ever had to go and get a proper job, because I'm not sure that I'd be able to work for anybody now.
All right, now I always do this thing where I ask for 3 facts about yourself to make 2 true, 1 a lie, and let me figure out the lie. What do you have for me?
I filmed King Charles and spotted snipers on the building opposite.
Okay.
My films have saved lives, and I had my passport confiscated by border control in Patagonia while filming there.
You filmed King Charles? When was that?
That was, when was that? Maybe 3 years ago, I think. He came to Leeds. I was working with the Jamaica Society in Leeds, and they had put on an exhibition. So that project kind of originated from, it was inspired by Windrush, and like there's a big Caribbean community in Leeds, and it was all about people who came on Windrush and like subsequently lived here, and then the generations on from there basically. And yeah, there was an exhibition in Leeds, and King Charles came to visit it, which was pretty cool.
And the snipers were his snipers?
Yeah, so we were filming in a building, and then the building on the other side of the street, you could see this. There was we could see 2, but there was probably more on the buildings opposite, because it was the king, so loads of people came and were on the streets and stuff. But that was kind of eerie. Like, wow, this is it's kind of like, I don't know, made it really like serious and a bit dark in a way.
Okay, your films have saved lives.
So this was a film for New Vision Bradford, which is a drug and alcohol charity, about a drug called naloxone, which temporarily reverses the effects of an opioid overdose. So it can bring somebody back from an overdose, basically. And so we did a film all about people getting trained in it and carrying it, because anybody can be trained in it and carry it. And then the campaign went out, and loads of people have been trained in it now, like even water companies and like security companies, like bouncers on the streets and stuff, have all been trained, and yeah, since that has happened, have saved lives as a result.
Oh, that's so okay. That's got to be true, surely, because it would be awful if you now turn around and go, no, not really.
Yeah. It would, wouldn't it?
Passport. Oh right, what was it? You had your passport taken off you in Patagonia.
So I was filming another running adventure, and this one was going through Patagonia, and yeah, we were filming at the border. We had a lot of problems at borders on that trip, and we were crossing from Chile into Argentina, and we were doing some filming by the lakeside. Yeah, the classic view that you'll ever see in Patagonia is these mountains called Fitzroy. It's like classic peaks, and they're at the end of this lake. So we were filming there. It was perfect filming location, and also we were stuck there because we'd missed a boat, so we had to. There was nothing else to do. So I was filming some people, just doing some interviews, and then the border guys come over and are like, "You can't film here. If you keep going, we're going to take your passports off you," kind of thing. Because they were really bothered about us filming this boat. I don't know why, but they really didn't want us to film this boat. And I was like, but the boat's not even in shot. So we moved further down, facing away from the boat and everything. And yeah, they came over and then they took us off into this room and were like, yeah, you're done.
It's possible. It seems weird that one of these isn't true. King Charles, it's highly possible he came to Leeds. So maybe this is it. Maybe he did come to Leeds, but you were... I know, you were in Patagonia at the time and missed him. This had better not be that they came up to you but they didn't take your passport. I'm going to say, weirdly, King Charles is the lie.
No, it's the passport. That's the lie.
Don't do it to me. Don't say they came up and they didn't take it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not having this. Do you know what? You can go away as a victor, but it will feel hollow inside. Still not done with Zoe's story, plenty more to come, but I just want to remind you that as well as the podcast, there is the community. Go to beingfreelance.com, click on community. There's so many lovely people in there who get what it's like. You've heard how good it was for Zoe being in a creative space surrounded by others so that she could be inspired by them, ask them questions. Well, it's like that, but it's online. So that you can get that whenever you need it with freelancers from around the world. So yeah, go to beingfreelance.com, click on community. It makes such a difference knowing that you're not alone being freelance. All the details at beingfreelance.com. Right now, back to Zoe. And how about work-life balance for you? How's that been?
Yeah, I think I do travel a lot, and my way of doing that is I'll manage projects around that. I'm quite fortunate in that a lot of the stuff I do doesn't tend to be super date focused. You know, like it's rare that it's like, right, this thing's happening on this day and that's when we have to film it and that's it kind of thing. Usually there's a lot more flexibility than that. So I try and work it around finishing stuff off before and having stuff planned in for afterwards. And I do also work with other freelancers as well, particularly editors. So I can film stuff, send it to them, they can edit it while I'm not able to, for example.
There's another strand to this conversation then. So collaborating with others or hiring others to help you on stuff.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, particularly editing, because I find that editing is what backs up a lot more than filming.
But then that's something that you have to factor into your pricing as well.
Yeah, it's tricky to get the balance right on that because you're paying somebody else to do something that you would have got paid for. So it's like figuring out what the rate should be when you're hiring somebody else to do something. Yeah, that's something I've not quite 100% cracked yet.
Yeah. I've always kind of thought that, like, with everything that you do within your business, in theory, we should kind of like say, okay, well, what if I was paying someone else to do that? How much more do I need to add on top so that my business is still making a profit? And then when we're doing all the stuff like filming and editing or script writing, voiceovers and all of that, then quid's in. We're laughing. But equally, you don't have to worry about it when you're suddenly hiring someone else because you know that buffer is in place.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, I think.
But you also need to have a good gauge on what other people's rates are and who those people are.
Yeah. And things are constantly changing, right? Like I think like we worked through COVID, and I don't know about you, but that changed everything. Like there was so much less work available and then subsequently less money. And then since then, there's always been like an element of uncertainty, which I think has impacted my work. And I know it's impacted other freelancers that I know's work a lot. And that feels like that uncertainty just seems to come back so much more now. And it's like reflected massively in budgets.
So it makes it harder to know whether to stay fixed on what your price was going to be?
Yeah, because I think there seems to be less budget available quite often. So yeah, it does make you reduce your price, and then it's like, oh, but so I had to do that for that person. Do I need to do that again when I'm quoting for this next thing? It makes it much harder to judge, I think, when it's fluctuating so much.
Yeah, and when I come to doing that, I kind of think, well, okay, well, the obvious thing is to think, well, what's the scope of the project and what can we reduce to fit your budget?
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't even have that conversation because they're like, oh, okay, we can't afford you. And they go, and they're off and you're like, oh, did I do the right thing? Yeah.
I find it's much more cutthroat more recently as well, you know, like rather than inviting a conversation of, oh, we can't do that, but we could do this reduced option. They're just, sometimes people are just like, yeah, like, no, we can't do that. Or no, we've just gone with somebody else. Or just ghosting. I feel like ghosting happens way more now than it ever used to.
But on those real relationships where you've built up over time, or you've been recommended because of a strong relationship, I find those things happen less in those situations.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Building relationships is like one of the most important things you can do when you're a freelancer.
Yeah. How do you keep those strong?
I think doing good work to start with. And I think a lot of it is on shoot days that happens, like in person, when you're actually with the client. I think that's when that kind of naturally happens in its strongest way.
Now, Zoe, if you could tell your younger self one thing about being freelance, what would that be?
I think I would say don't worry about not following the traditional path. I think I've always believed in like happiness first, so doing things that make you happy. Because I think if you're not happy, then there's literally no point in doing that thing that's not making you happy. So I'd say chase the happiness and ignore the naysayers.
Brilliant. Zoe, thank you so much. Go to beingfreelance.com, as there are for all of our guests. You'll find links through so that you can find Zoe online, check out her work, check out She Who Dares Wins as well. Zoe, thank you so much, and all the best being freelance.
Thanks, Steve.
So there you are. Only took me 10 years to invite her on the podcast, it turns out. 2016 we must have met at that awards show. But I feel like our businesses have grown up together, and it's been really great seeing what she's up to. Make sure you give her a follow, and She Who Dares Wins online as well. Come find me on LinkedIn and Instagram, and of course always hanging out in the Being Freelance community. Come join us in there. And I'll see you for another one of these very soon indeed. In the meantime, you have a great week. Being Freelance.